Yo, this is it. I'm Mr. Faye, and you're listening to Attack of the Beats on IllMuzik.com. Here we are once again, another 5 beats, another episode of Reviewing Beats right here at IllMuzik. And don't forget to send in your beats to be reviewed. Actually, I have a lot. I mention that every week, but actually I do. I have a lot of beats to review, but it's good though, because if I do them all at once or whatever, then I won't be able to do them every week, right? I'll have to wait until somebody sends in beats and stuff, so that's not fair to everyone else, whatever. So it's good to have a backlog or whatever. But anyway, so we'll get to it right away. First up, we got Andy with Weed Strains. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Andy with Weed Strains. Now, this one I like. I mean, I'm a big fan of piano, and I really like what you have with the piano there, and it sounds like I guess it's kind of like a reverb you got on that piano or whatever, but it sort of kind of sounds like you got a pad there too, like a pad lead or something. I could be mistaken, but whatever. What you have there is the main part of your melody. It sounds really, really good. Okay, so I wouldn't touch the piano and all that shit. I mean, for what you have. And what surprised me though was the drums, because they're great and everything like that. It's just the pattern, like I see nothing wrong with the beat. It's just that actually I just made a beat yesterday. It was kind of like this, where it was a slower tempo, and there wasn't too much I could really do with the sample. So when I listen to the beat, it's just the whole thing is slow or whatever. But so what I try to do is, when I do the drums, is I try to make it a little more exciting. So you don't have to. I'm just saying out of my personal opinion. But so like for example, what I'll do is a little trick is you can have like a sped up hi-hat track. Okay, so you have that sped up or whatever, and you have your regular kicks and snares and all that stuff. Or you could also add in a few kicks, a few snares here and there, just to make it sound a little busier. You know what I mean? And it does make a big difference, But I mean, you could also use, let's say, a breakbeat, for example. You take some drum breakbeat, and which is fast or whatever, and you could use that. And as long as it's in that same tempo range, it's going to be really good. Like for example, like if you take like Impeach the President or Funky Drummer or something like that, you take those, and as long as you have it pitched down enough to fit your tempo, just imagine how much different this beat, like your beat for example, would sound, right, with that break beat over that piano, right? I mean, it would just change the whole thing. So So that's just something to consider, because in case like maybe you're wondering, maybe there's something wrong with the beat, maybe there's something wrong with you're wondering what should I do to change it up, make it more exciting or whatever. But that's an option. Okay, so but what you have is great. It does sound good. What I would recommend though is just to change it up a bit. So you have like your piano part. You've got like two pieces of it, right? Two different parts of it. I would say just to change it up, have that first piano part. Have that like for your verse, let's say. Okay, have that just that first part, and then just like delay it out or something. Not have that second part. Only bring that second part in for like the hook, for example. So that would be the only thing I really recommend. But like I said, if you want to really change it up with the drums or whatever, you have other options, so. But other than that, it's a great beat. I really like it. All right, so next up we've got Mr. Buck Jones 1 with Catch Up Again. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was who was that? That was Mr. Buck Jones 1 with Catch Up Again. All right. Okay, so for this beat, what I like is how you put everything together. Okay, that's the main thing, is that because sometimes people send in beats and it's just 2 minutes of just a part of their full beat, let's say. But for this one, well, actually it was longer than 2 minutes, but for this one I like what you did in the first 2 minutes. It's a nice production. What I would recommend though is a few things. For example, like the bass line. You could keep the bass line like that, there's nothing wrong with that. But it does get a little heavy after a while. So in that case, the one thing I didn't like about the low end part was the bass and the kick together, because the kick, I find it's one of those kicks that is just there's no punch to it really. It doesn't really feel like an authentic kick. It's just kind of there. It's almost like a variation of the bass, let's say. It's so you could change up the kick, have it a little more punchier, something that's more realistic, let's say. And the synth part. Now the synth, it's always hard. I mean, I last week I was making a beat with a couple of VSTs that I have, and I don't know, it's very hard to find a nice synth part sometimes and stuff. So in your case, like I'm saying, the production is good, the patterns are good and stuff. You need some better sounds, I think, when it comes to the synth, because that makes a world of difference. Like it was just yesterday, I think it was, where I saw that Native Instruments just came out with this orchestra string ensemble VST, and when you listen to them, it's beautiful, the sounds. Okay, so if you had something like that, where it's whether it's a synth or strings or whatever, but just something that just sounds a lot nicer, it would of course make a big difference on your beat. Okay, so because like I said, what you have there, it's kind of, I mean, it's just kind of cheesy, I guess, like it's just, but, and, it's, like I said, it's very hard to find a good synth sound and stuff, so I would work on that and finding a good synth or strings or whatever, and just focus on that, because it would make a big difference, and you're not alone. I mean, there's a lot of guys, even like I said, even myself, I still have trouble finding some good stuff. And a lot of guys, they just they have good production skills and good mixing skills and everything, but the actual synth sounds, man, it's hard, so that's why once you come across a good synth, a good pad or whatever, you stick with that, like try to work that in all your beats somehow or whatever, because it'll make a big difference, so but anyway, that's the main thing, that and the bass. And like I said, with the bass, if you want to keep it, that's fine, as long as you change up the kick a bit. But I would recommend you scale back on the bass, because like I said, it is kind of heavy, as it goes on, it just gets kind of heavy and stuff. So and the other thing too is that you have that little piano part at the end, which is good, but again, I think it would be much better if it was a nicer piano. So if you had that, or even maybe just an actual piano lead, something heavier, thicker, to go along with the synth, try that and see how it turns out. And but like I said, the production, the whole thing, it's some dope shit. I like that. All right, so next up we have Ryan Struffling with The Hype. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Ryan Struffling with The Hype. Okay, so at the beginning, I thought it was just like your intro or something like that, because the way the beat was all lo-fi and muffled and all that, and but then I realized, okay, that's the beat, So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm a big fan of lo-fi stuff and everything, and but I like what you did with the whole thing. The whole 2 minutes, you got your piano part towards the end with the synth part and everything, and then you bring in the snare and all that stuff. I mean, really good job on that stuff. I have no complaints about any of that shit. The main thing was the low end. Now I understand what you're doing with it, because you got that you're trying to represent that as trying to make that the low end, right? With that heavy kick and all that stuff. So that's good, but it's one of those things where I've been there, where it's you get this bass line, you get this bass where it sounds good, but it's kind of like borderline muddy, you know what I mean? It's like, that's why, like, for those types I try to stay away from, because when you come to the mix and all that, you don't want to have to worry about any kind of muddiness or whatever. So what I would recommend is the production is fine. So what I recommend though for the low end is, if you get something I'm not gonna say like an exciter or something, but even just like a mastering plugin, like I use Ozone, right? Isotope Ozone. And in there, once you apply one of the presets, for example, you'll have, a nice, I guess you can call it like stereo imaging or whatever, and it'll just make a big difference on that low end kick and everything. So that's what needs to be brought up. It's just that kick. I know you want it muffled, you want it bass and all that stuff, but I would bring it up just a bit because it's too muffled, too lo-fi, too heavy, too bassy, let's say, or whatever. So, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like it's good as is, but it's not. So I would just focus on that, try to work on that because everything else sounds really, really good. I like that shit. It's just that low end part. I don't know. It's weird, man. It's one of those things. It's like it's good, but it's not. So you gotta. I don't know. I would just, if I were you, I would just try to work something on it. Just make it a little more. Just make it a little. Make it sparkle a little more. I don't know. Something like that. All right. So next up, we've got Skinny Nika 646 with No More Drama. Let's check it out.
Isn't it a little esoteric?
All right. Okay, so that was Skinny Nika 646 with No More Drama. All right, so this beat, it's one of those things where it's a good, I don't know, it's a good pattern with the piano and the synth and all that stuff. But then you have that one last part where you pitch it down or whatever. You bring it you bring the tune down just a bit, and that's what throws it off for me. Because it's like, everything sounds good. I mean, your drums are great. I like what you did with the delay on the snare. Then you got the whistle and all that stuff. So you put a lot of detail into it. You really worked on it, and that's good. But for me, it was that piano and synth part where it's fine, but it's just kind of off at the end. That end pattern. So it's weird, but it kind of works. But I don't know. It's one of those things where you got to find that different note. You know what I mean? It's hard, but I don't know. Sometimes it sounds good when you go that other note, but other times it doesn't. So in this case, I don't know. It just kind of throws me off, that thing. For that and the when you change it up, you just stop the music. That's fine. I mean, some people do that. That's their way of saying, okay, I'm changing it up here. But for me, it just kind of kills the vibe, when people do that and stuff. So, but to each his own. If you want to do that, that's fine. That's not a preference of mine, but I understand. But yeah, that's the main thing, is that it sucks because you get those nice drums and all that stuff, and a nice 2-minute production you presented here. So, but like I said, it's just that last part I would change up. That's the thing that bothered me a bit. So, but other than that, I like the beat. Really, really dope shit, man. All right, so next up we've got Vase with At This Moment. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Vase with At This Moment. All right, so here we have a beat where the first 30 seconds, man, I mean, the music's fantastic. I'm nodding my head. I'm going along with the music and everything like that. But then the drums drop in. And, you know, the drums are great. They sound good, and the pattern's good and all that stuff. But the pattern threw me off, though. That's the thing. Because I'm nodding my head to the music and going along with the music that you have. But then when the drum pattern comes in, I had to like readjust my head nodding because it was a totally different pattern, you know. So I mean, like I said, I like the pattern, but for me, it didn't go with what I was expecting, right? Because you know the first 30 seconds or so. So that was the thing that threw me off right away, was that. And but you know, you do have the nice bass. It's heavy but subtle. You got nice synth work. It's a nice production you put together here. For the drums they're using, though, the kick is great, hat's great, but the snare, I can hear the reverb on it, so that's good. But I would just lower the snare a bit. It was smacking a little too much for my liking and stuff. But it just, like I said, it just sucks because it came in, totally unexpected. I didn't expect that kind of pattern at all and stuff, and that's fine if you want to change it up and whatever. But I think because of the way you have that intro, everyone's gonna nod their head to it. So I think that you should just continue that flow, that pattern. So I would just make my drum track to go along with that pattern at the beginning. You don't have to, but I'd like to hear it like that. I'd like to hear how it would sound if you did the pattern like that. But other than that, I mean, the rest of the stuff was really good. Like I said, the snare I would lower it a bit, and yeah, that was about it, really. I mean, that was just the main thing that threw me off. So, but yeah, it's a good beat, good shit. But that was nice music though at the beginning, really good stuff. All right, so yeah, that's it. All right, so that's it for me. I'm Mr. Faye. This is Attacking the Beats. Don't forget to send in your beats. Just go over to the upload page and send them in, and I'll keep reviewing them. All right, so out of all these beats this week, my favorite, the winner is, drum roll please, Ryan Streffling with The Hype. Let's check it out.